Oh.
That's the most...
So a Litvak is someone that says that it does L'Shem Shemayim. That's what I learned from the Lubavitcher Rebbe, the Rashab, that in his Farbrengen, it's written down in a book called Teres Shulam, which every Chassidus should read. I have a reading list, remember? The Kov Defend, you're keeping track of... No, you have to write it down somewhere that everyone should know.
I have it.
So add to that reading list a book called Teres Shulam, which is the Sichas of the Rashab. It's like his things that he said when he was shikr. And it's very important to understand Chassidus. And one of the things he says there is that he talks about himself, like Rebbes like to do when they're shikr, talk about themselves. And he says, one of the things that he says is, one thing he's not going to say is that he's Mechavel L'Shem Shemayim, because only Litvak would say that. He somehow got into this position of being the Rebbe and having a yeshiva and whatever, but he's not L'Shem Shemayim, Chas v'shulam. You understand what he's saying? What he's saying is that you have to be really not self-conscious of your own motivations and of what a human being means and of what God means. To think that a person could say and declare themselves to be, I'm the Shem Shemayim guy. I'm Kavat Shemayim. Yeah, I understand God a little bit and I would love to teach it to other people and all of that, but I'm not the Shem Shemayim. Like, you have to have a really inflated sense of how much a human being could know and be in order to say that. No, not exactly the same thing. It's more like it's like this, not like anything. No.
It's like, hey,
you don't go around declaring yourself Al Hashem Shemayim, Nick. Like that's really, really not serious. Besides for like what the Baal Musa would tell you, that come on, you're L'Shem Shemayim, like halavai, there should be 1% L'Shem Shemayim somewhere in the hiddenness of your soul. But that's a Musa way of saying it. Yeah, and nachal nevochet. But the Chassidish thing would be to say like, you, God, L'Shem Shemayim, give me a break. Nachamazla, we're not, jumping off the roof, something. You should be happy. There's certain humility. It's not really, it leads to certain like looseness, certain lightness of, like, don't take yourself seriously. That's why I'm saying serious. You can take yourself too seriously if you know what the world is really about. That's what I think. You could do great things. Doesn't mean that you should be like a schlepper. That doesn't do anything. It's not cynical. Who is cynical?
This is because I don't know, and it doesn't. But it's not. It's a very cynical thing.
No, cynicism is.
I more cynical. I actually think it's more cynical. No, but there's a hurry of sincerity, like it's like intense sincerity. There's also one of cynicism. I think it's like I don't know, like people who like are so serious. Like I feel like also it's like in an uncompromising way. Like it's just, I think it's a little non-human. Listen, I hear it. I just say I think the other side is
I don't think it's cynicism. There you could understand it as cynicism, or you could do it as cynicism, but it's not necessarily cynicism. It's really lightness, like I said. Cynicism is when you're like,
maybe lightness is a way,
I don't mean myself serious.
Is a way that something that prevents things from getting done.
Chas v'shalom. You can do more things like this.
So that's not.
You can go to more places like that.
Is there a middle here?
I think that's like desire, right?
A middle in the correct sense of a middle, of being a third definition. It's true that Hasidim, in the sense of, not in his sense of the Baal Shem Tov, in the sense of Hasidic culture, is a lot more cynical. Just to be clear, that cynical is like Rabbi Yitzchak Kotner said, it's like a mitzvah to be down like Kafschus, but when you're down like Kafchav, usually you're right. In that sense, it's cynical in the sense of realistic. Like, come on, be real.
No, but the problem is that carves out reality. That's the problem. It's very hard to judge reality then, because when you do that, it actually prevents reality from developing. There's a real parallel. That's my point. It's like genuinely can make reality.
So therefore, we have to do that in the correct way. Sounds easy to say. Like everything has a clip, everything has an extreme or a version which is not understanding it. It's true that Hasidim have a tendency to not be serious enough. Everything is a joke. And everyone, anyways, wie hat jener gesagt? Jeder meint sich, no, ich mein mich. That's very deep Chassidische word. And the other, that's like one clip. By the way, I know the people in this situation. It doesn't actually make them not be able to produce, not be able to support things, not be able to do activity. I don't think so.
I didn't say it makes you. First of all, okay.
I'm not saying it's impossible.
Be done, but I also think it also sets the limits of what you can do. Again, your argument is that it's actually correct.
But it's uninhibited.
The other argument is that it's not ideally not.
What I mean to say, I'll give you the exact explicit meaning. What I mean to say. What I mean to say is that it's not true that you have to believe that the Rebbe is a tzaddik in order to give him money or to build him a moiseh. That's almost the opposite. The people that believe the Rebbe is a tzaddik, they think, he's a tzaddik, he doesn't need any money. People that think, look, the Rebbe, maybe he's a tzaddik, maybe he's not, maybe I'm a tzaddik, maybe I'm not. Who knows? But lamaase, geld that jeder eine lieb, and a big nice bankel everyone likes. And since he's my Rebbe, I like him, I'll give him a big bankel.
I want to leave Irish, this is exactly why Hasidim are so cynical. This is exactly why. Because of the structures that you live in. We didn't grow up in these structures. So
it's not that, by the way, it's not that you don't live in those structures, it's just that the structures you live in, first, are less useful, and also more rishistic because they're L'Shem Shemaim, like Penina, right?
I get it.
No,
like the Bris Keruv about Penina, right? You know.
Yeah.
In other words, the Litvak Rosh Hashiva, he never thinks that he's really the Rosh Hashiva, and therefore he's skimtzich the one, the Rebbe Shanikl like everyone else. He didn't have that yet.
This is where I disagree. I've seen a certain level of actual genuineness in places you would never believe. We had this fight a couple weeks ago. Discussion. This discussion a couple weeks ago. I think I've seen people that have genuinely they're not just resident on it. Whatever. It's actually,
they're really L'Shem Shemaim.
Whatever it means that they're not as opportunistic as you would think.
I think it's also like
I didn't say they're opportunistic. You see, no, it's even worse. That's what I'm saying. I don't know who you're talking about, so I'm just.
I know you don't know that.
So it's not interesting. This is all like in the shulam. We're saying I'm wishing in mind to sign. I am not so evil to people that mean L'Shem Shemaim. Some of them are Chassidish actually. It doesn't matter. I don't like them. Why not? Because I'll tell you why. A Chassidish Menal Moisid, in this sense of Chassidish that we're calling now, we should like new words so people don't Chas v'Shalom think that we mean the Baal Shem Tov or the something. You know, die ene gesagt, is a Chus von der Eibisch. Das ist ein kleiner Chassidish, das ist ein Chassidim, but who was the... So a Chassidish guy that has a Menal, he's like this. Look, I have certain people that I want in my yeshiva, certain people that I don't. Some people that I don't really want, but they have money, so I take them in, and so on. And therefore, if you call them up and you say, look, I'm a Balbat Shid, I have geld, I'll give you geld if you ask. You need Chas v'Shalom, or I'm giving you, we'll donate a window, whatever. And he says, look, I want 2 windows. And you say, okay, a window and a half. The kids say the guy is in the yeshiva. And sometimes he says, no, I hate you, I don't want your money. But you could deal with such a person. Then you call up the Litvak, and he says, and you tell him, you know, there's a bucher in his yeshiva, and so on. And he says, yeah, hey, but there's no room. I don't have room, right? So you tell him, okay, no problem, we'll buy a folding chair, because there's no chairs, right? And he says, die Machtelzun ist für mich. Die Machtelzun ist für mich, ich Machtelzun ist für dich. And then, he told me there's no room, no problem, I'll bring. So then he says,
the guy I'm talking about, this is not the kind of country go.
Wait.
We're not going. I know what you mean. This is the bad.
Wait. And then he says, you say, you know, a check can donate in a room, you know. And by the way, if you're like really Chassidish, you tell him like openly, like, how much does it cost? Let's get it down to business. And then he tells you, I want to tell you what he tells you.
or just a like a machshav type. That's the
And then I'll tell you what he tells you. You think I'm taking you for money? You think I ever took anyone for money? You know how many millionaires I already pushed away this year? And this Chazash Shakram, he never pushed away one millionaire. He's just worried that I'm not giving him enough money. And maybe he did. There's always one because there's another one that Tzikrik Metem, he can only get one of their money and whatever. But what did I think? You're not for sale. Everyone is for sale. You have a higher price, no problem. We'll see if I can afford you. Everyone is for sale. There's always to think someone is not for sale. And in other words, you're playing with me. I don't like dealing with gods. I don't know. God, I know how to deal with one God, you know. The God of Abraham and Isaac and Jacob. I know how to deal with him. I have Shvanesra and stuff. But the guy that's like a malach, money doesn't talk to me. You're not talking to me like a human being. Okay,
so I know the guy you're talking about. I know this guy. This is General Moscow. It's terrible. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about a guy who generally the conversation would never go that way. He would never go that way. Just to start with the traffic,
money's still the sincere, like.
Yes. That's what I'm saying. The problem with the cynical thing is that you don't believe such a person exists. I've seen it.
No, by the way, I think I've seen it.
I didn't say this person is cynical. I think that is never angere. And the other guy.
Go this way. Money is actually not in his mind.
I'm not thinking about signing boots. There's some people that the man doesn't talk to.
I know, but first of all, I don't think that like. First of all, I
never had this conversation ever once in his life.
By the way, most of these people,
he genuinely didn't think about money.
Yeah, but I find that like the people that are like, they have this like okay, I don't know what you want to call it. Like, I would call it excessive sincerity, right? These people are also like, if money can't buy them, it's because they're narcissistically disengaged.
It's not true. It's not what it is.
It's like, hear me out.
It's not.
Then what are you so serious about?
Like
these guys, they're unmovable.
Again, the guy who has the conversation, I hear, but the other guy, that's just not what the conversation is. But the point is, here's the point. The guy that I'm talking about doesn't just say no to people who wants to come to Yeshiva, because like, of course he wants everyone to come to Yeshiva, because I don't know, of course he wants to come to Yeshiva. What a good thing. Like, that's his attitude.
No problem. But that person, just to be clear, I've had this conversation, including the part with the folding chair, with more than one person.
I know that person. I'm not denying that person exists.
And there's another kind of person. There's another kind of person that is taking mamash at tzaddik. He once had a moist baby. He still has a moist. I'm not sure. Wait.
The people I'm talking about don't think they're tzaddik.
But I want to tell you. I should stop telling some complaints about people. The point is that there's another yid. Firstly, I didn't say that there's nobody that doesn't just have. I didn't say that he has a yeshiva just for COVID and he's not conscious of it and so on. I didn't say that. What I'm saying is that says that all of them think they mean L'Shem Shemayim. Some of them are liars. Some of them are Takal L'Shem Shemayim. Those are the worst.
They're not the worst. It's not true. They're not the worst. That's what I'm saying. I see this very cynical take. It's a very cynical take. And it's very hard for me to find a cynical take because I feel like I look like a loser every single guy.
No.
I'm just telling you that I know it's not true. They're not the worst. They have completely different language, completely different ideas of what they're trying to do. They have never had such conversations. We've had this for 60 years. He never had
a question for you. How easy is it to change this person's mind?
What do you mean?
If you wanted to change their mind through a conversation.
When you come, you say, I want to come, a boy wants to come to yeshiva. He's like, if a boy wants to come to yeshiva, of course you come to yeshiva. That's his first attitude. It's not a matter of like, he doesn't do this whole game in the first place.
You having a conversation with him about something random.
Yeah.
How easy is it to change his mind?
Can't change his mind.
Can't change his mind. Exactly.
Let's cut you guys.
Can't change his mind. Well, why? Because he believes that he's the Shem Shemayim and nobody else.
No, that's a different reason. I mean, it's a different reason. No, that's not the reason.
He knows how hard he works to be the Shem Shemayim. It's impossible that more than Echad B'Dayre can do it.
I don't agree. I think it's different either. Completely different shoes.
Why is it so hard to change his mind?
Why can't he listen to other people?
Let me ask you a question. Why is it so hard to change his mind?
It's a very difficult conversation to have with you.
But the point is...
No, I can ask him.
Question of reality.
I understood.
Why is it so hard to change?
You're essentially saying, I know you're going to deny this, but you're essentially saying that whoever much the guy thinks L'Shem Shemayim, he's not. You're essentially saying that.
No, I didn't say he's not L'Shem Shemayim. I think that I see... You have to understand something. You don't have to understand nothing. It's very hard to have this conversation because, like we said, it's not really interesting to talk in generalities. You have to talk about certain people, and that would be some Lashon Hara. And I don't know the person that you're referring to. I don't know him, And maybe I know I'm going to be talking.
They don't exist in this whole town. Just to let you know, it's actually not.
No, there actually are such people in this town. I can give you their names also.
I can see. They're not definitely not public.
There are such people. There's even, let's not get into politics. I'm sure there are such people. It's not a question. I think that, and also not every, like you said, not every chusad is a chusad. Not every litvak is a litvak. It's trofnayach, litvak is a nishkal litvak. Okay, no problem.
Exactly what you live.
But
they're very earnest about everything they say, and they just that conversation would not exist.
No, I didn't say that conversation would exist. I said that person who let's say Pushet has a yeshiva because it's a mitzvah to the Arbetz Torah and he's trying to, to teach Yidden the Torah and so on. And he thinks that he's L'Shem Shemaim, like he's very clear to himself that he's serious, like he's L'Shem Shemaim. There's something, why don't I like him? I just don't like him. I don't know why. Maybe I'm a Rusha, I don't like people that are L'Shem Shemaim.
Why is it so hard to change these people's minds?
People's mind isn't easy to change. I'm just curious.
Why does he need to change his mind?
What do you mean change about what? About his personal opinions?
Most of these people
85-year-old men are
so precious to themselves.
No, that's not what it is.
Because so why is it so hard to change his mind? I'm just curious. Why do you think?
I mean, first of all, in some sense, you could argue, let's say, relative to the people in this year, they're very shallow people. So, meaning to say is they're not going very deep. So, in some general manner, maybe they're happy to be right.
I like the compliment that we're so deep and that yeshiva is shallow. Maybe. I'm
What do you believe?
You see, you know what I'm doing? I somehow believe this and somehow I'm making Latzunis of it. It's somewhat true, but also like, come on, we're...
No,
you see,
harder to change
it's hard. It's something...
Start that way. Oh, really? Okay.
But I think it's almost about to change.
I find that for some of these people, when you talk to them, it's like, forget about changing their mind. They don't even know how to engage with things outside of like their own immediate, very narrow vertical. I think that it exists in a matter of degrees.
It's true for all people that are L'Shem Shemaim.
Yeah.
Everyone is L'Shem Shemaim.
Right? People that are L'Shem, whatever Shemaim they have.
They don't even think the L'Shem, that's the point. They don't even think the L'Shem Shemaim. This whole discussion, they don't actually...
No, I do think. They don't say it. No, of course they don't.
No, I'm talking about, they don't think it even. I don't think they actually think it.
I know, I find that like for some people, at least I could get them to engage in something. And like they can engage me in something. I could be narcissistic sometimes, but like on a better day, I could be moved by something. Like, I love myself a lot.
I'll give you my mushal. Why do I think about the guy that, like, if you offer him $50,000, he just says no? And even, no, why? Just to be clear, everyone likes $50,000. Maybe it's not enough. So $50 million, doesn't matter. Now, just to be very clear, of course, maybe I don't disbelieve that there are yeshivas that don't care about the money. Those yeshivas usually close down because they don't pay payroll. But it's not.
Actual human beings don't care about money because they grew up so they train that money means nothing, and the only thing that means something, the only currency there is.
You don't believe a person like this exists.
It's not about I don't.
The people are poor person, 8 years old.
They don't think they're paupers. It's the point. They don't think about money that way. They don't think paupers not paupers.
When you're in a situation that money, you know what I'm saying? They don't even imagine.
Bring it back. Bring it back. My mushal, everything I say is a mushal. It's a mushal, an illustration for something. The reason why I say this, is because and this is my personal mishigas, and it's not a real criticism because I'm a bad person. But the reason why I use this is because I'll tell you why. Because just to be very clear, right? I don't actually have $50,000 to give out to people like this. Maybe I could raise it or something. But when I tell someone, I'll tell you why I get bothered by this. Okay? Let's say I call let's say it's Takel Hashem Shemaim, and like you said, usually it's because the shaitan he doesn't realize that there's another pshat in the Shemaim. But okay. But let's say he's Takel Hashem Shemaim, and then I call him up, and you have to realize whenever I'm calling up this person, right, he's in a position of authority, and I'm asking him for a tithe, right? So he's above me, and I don't like that because I'm Balgav. I don't like people being above me. I like people being shova b'shova. By the way, that's the definition of gava, being above other people. I love. Okay, now I don't like being a shmata. I like being treated as an adult. Mishigas that I have. A lot of people in Lakewood, most people don't have this thing called pride. They don't have gava. It's one of the midas that the Yeshiva Shechinuch manages to take out of most of its students. But for whichever reason, for me, it didn't work. And therefore, I'm Bal Gava. And I don't like to deal with people that it's very clear that I'm this little knecht, and he's the kmeilech that I have to big sich to and say, please do me a favor. I know that it's ani rui v'ani kedai, but chmein, v'roi v'rachmecha v'chasadecha. You know, even for God, I've come with it. So, people are laughing. I know it's so funny. I don't like it. So, whenever I have this conversation with this, now, even in my head, whenever I think of this person, right? I'm scoured b'klein chavayra, right? So I have to find a way how I'm really above him. So as a shoyte, as a tomem, as a rusha, that's how life works, right? You figure out how to put everyone down. So you should. I don't have. Let's say I would be metak my midas. I don't have to be on top of him. At least I'm the same. Right? To us, me and you. How do we say? Everyone is equal before the eyes of God. Okay? We're all morichkis in God's world. That's all. Simple. I like that. I don't. In my good moments, I don't have to be above you. Ich bin ein Moritschke, die bist ein Moritschke, und Eibert hat gemacht alle Moritschkes, und schon. Moritschke ist ein Bug. Der Hashem Tov, it says in Tzavos Rivash, when euch itelas, v'lo yesh, a person lives, you should think he's a friend with all the worms. What are the difference? They're alive, he's alive, and so on. So, now, when I call this person, then right away, it's like, he's making his important L'Shem Shemaim Cheshbonos, if I'm rude to even talk to him, and like Chaz v'Shalom to argue with him. I know all these people. By the way, I don't know about L'Shem Shemaim people, but every single one of the people that I spoke to demand, and even the people that we were talking about before, demand a huge amount of respect. I don't like when you talk to me without respect, but I'm so evil because if you pretend to be equal, I don't mind. Like, you argue with me, if you see that I'm equal, I say you say shtissim, you say I say shtissim, no problem, we're equal at least. Maybe I would like more if you say, hey, Yitzchak, what do you say? But if you're equal, I also like it. But if you need me to like, Chaz v'Shalom, du machst Letzunas for me? Who do you think you are? You know something, make Letzunas back. I didn't say that I'm more than you. Why do you think you're more than me? And then the guy calls back the next guy. You know, we can't deal with this parent. He doesn't have dercher, tzachna, whatever, they have kind of words. And like seriously, after that dercher for you, what do you deserve? What did you do to turn your dercher? Because you're a bigger bully? Okay. So why am I getting into this thing? So what do I do? I'm in a conversation with the guy. I'm always looking for a way to figure out. Even when I need a person, let's say he's a gvid and I'm asking him for money. Let's say it's in my head. All of this is in my head, right? I don't know if the guy is trying to put himself on top of me. It's in my head, okay? Just to be clear, it's always in my head. It's always in my head. Wait, let me finish my story, then you'll talk. It's always in my head. Sorry, I'm the Magachir here. I get to talk most of the time. It's always in my head, but okay, I'll talk. We'll think soon about that. Then you should write down your questions. You know how people do panels? You have to take notes, so you should remember your kashas on me. Otherwise, the conversation gets very messy. So I find ways. But true story, even when I go to a professional, like a doctor, and I need his help, and I'm asking, I'm paying you for your help, I always have to make a joke in the end to figure out, like, you know, Lamaster, we're both human beings. Come on, right? I'm buying for you some service, some knowledge even, but like, so you do, most people like this. Most people, even when you're going to the big, was the guy that you need his loan from the bank, and then you make a joke about your shvige, and the ochtach shvige, we're both suffering from the shvige equally, so you're friends, right? That's how people become friends. Yeah. We don't like, people, even usually the people in positions of authority don't like to only be that. They like it, but, right? So, now, there's... Dominance or shared misery. What? People bond over shared dominance and shared misery. Yeah, okay. I like it. So, like last week I was by some professional about something, and then I asked him, like, the system is corrupt and you're just part of it. Yeah, sure. Okay, no problem. I'll pay you as much money as you want. The system is corrupt. If the guy that doesn't say this, I get very nervous. Like, what do you mean? Why are you drying your cup? Literally two people that I'm dealing with in the same kind of situation. And one of them I could talk with because, the system is corrupt, but we have to deal with it, we have to take care, and I'm a good business making money off the corrupt system. No problem. Mashiach will come, we'll fix the other guy. So now just to get back to my money example. Now, therefore, when you call this Yid, and he is the gross melech over here, and I have to get his favor. So one very simple way, and for example, people that actually have money, they do this all the time, right? One very simple way to make sure that he's not actually over me is to say, look, I know that you're very important. You have 17,000 rules in your algorithm when you decide who passes for your chayde, right? Very tiefe chokhmah that he can't even explain to anyone. If I have something else, I'll pay you $50,000. Tell you it's enough. Now I'm equal with you, right? Not above you, even maybe a man. But at least I'm equal with you. Me and you are both like money. You need it for your moiset, I need it for my kid to be in the moiset. Let's exchange, and we're equal. That's called business, right? So capitalism is equal, makes everyone equal. Everyone is for sale. Everything is for sale and shine. And this guy is like, no. So he's making sure to not be equal with me. That's what he's doing when he's refusing the money, right? And then, by the way, he's going to send his shvuga next time to be merames that lamas. It would have worked. It would have worked somehow, right? But he never could talk about it straight. Why not? Because then he would be equal with me. Then we're just in a business. Then we're just both two people that I have something you need, you have something I need. Let's exchange it. No. Now, that's why I'm using this example. It sounds like I'm saying that it's very bad. I don't actually think that it's very bad that the guy is for sale. Why shouldn't it be for sale? He's selling something. There's a price. Now it's corrupt. Why doesn't he charge the same amount for everyone? But I don't necessarily think that it's the worst thing. I do think that this, like, no, I'm I don't take money, is just a way of him being, no, I'm not Bichlal, your friend, I have nothing to do with you. You owe me everything, I don't owe you anything. The people that are corrupt, they owe you always. That's my, the reason why I say this. Now what are you going to say?
Two objections I've written down in my mind. One is that the person I'm talking about, I know the guy you're talking about. The person I'm talking about, you wouldn't talk to this whole you wouldn't get this whole feeling as much. Again, you said this in your head, but I think there is a difference. He doesn't talk to people like, oh my God, I'm the guy and I have the ganze cheshbonus. That's not how he talks in the first place. The conversation will never start that way.
Okay.
To the extent possible.
Say the second thing.
The second thing is, no, I'm just saying,
I understand.
If it's true that was a better guy, the reason, just to stick up for the bad left backs also, the reason why they're embarrassed, not just to keep you down, that's also true. I'm not saying it's not true. But I think part of the reason is because they know there's something better and they're just pretending they're that. Because they have a guy, and they know there's a guy who generally doesn't care about money, and they want to be there. You think I care about money? Because actually this guy who doesn't care about money. Actually this guy who's like not in his fault, doesn't say yes, doesn't say no, just stop, that's not the conversation he ever has. And he wants to be that guy, so he's like, here, you're saying I'm not that guy? And that's why.
So I have a crowd. But Lamasa, both of your points go back to the same, because your second one is the one that's pretending to be the first. So I have dealt with the first person, okay? I can give you names if you, whatever, it doesn't, off camera. Talk to people that we know, or some of you might know, that as far as I know them, they're taka l'shem shemayim. I don't know, about money and other things. They're taka l'shem shemayim. And in how, you want to ask me how actually they are in human relations? They're actually bad. They get into fights with most people around them. Very few people stay working for them for very long. Even if yes, that's like in a very weird way. And somehow they do have money for what they need. Let's be real. None of them are actually ever getting thrown out of their house for not paying their mortgage. Somehow he understands that he needs money. It's true that he really doesn't. I don't know how to explain this. But that's me being cynical. Time to preview. Yeah, and somehow his broken car, it's always there. It's not like one day he doesn't have a car because, a car costs money and Gadol is missed. No, somehow he always has a car. But now, and this person, so back to my main problem with him, it's not like you said you can't talk with him. Okay, there's always action. Like you said, a lot of people are extreme, a lot of people are stuck in their mind. He's actually always on top of you. Now, it's true that he doesn't do it. The guy that's a faker is the worst. I'm asking that he's worse. I'm asking that the fakers are worse. And I'm also asking that there's a very big value. I think there's a great virtue in these sincere people. And we lose something by losing those people. And it's a generational thing. And I have a whole spiel about this. And the Hasidim are just a little more advanced than Litvaks. The Litvaks are getting there. In America, they're more slowly. In Israel, they're already there. There's a generational thing going on here. And there's reasons for it. And Chanchan Koich for that sociological druja now. You know what I mean? I must have said this through. I had this conversation with people. Maybe it was never like recorded. But in any case, this is true. But if you think between me and that guy, me personally, I remember some person telling me the craziest, sadistic things, like how I should live, whatever, what he's going to do to me. He didn't, what his idea was. And it was like such, and the guy was like straight, like for real. It's not like he was bluffing. He was not bluffing. Like, I really hold that little guy on the reden aan. Like, Chaltaka. En dan gauw kent man brieden schwugge. Volgens geschickt man brieden in de ogen. Ja, ik weet dat wel geschickt man brieden in de ogen. Like, neem het daar ga je roer. Dus daar ga je roer. There's something, I don't know what. I don't know why I don't like him. I actually do like the person in the sense that I have a lot of respect, a lot more respect than I have for the other guy that I'm talking about. But for some reason, this clip of Mein Lashem Shamayim is exactly red van jenem, nicht meer red van de faker. Wat de faker is a faker. Ich rede nicht von der faker. Ich rede von der emesdige Lashem Shamayim. And is a litvak. And if he would be Chassid Shid, he would never act that way. He might have done bigger dishes. I don't know. He would never have this, there's no, actually, I'm think of this, but there's actually zero ways for anyone to relate to him. There's no way. For example, I'm going to give you very low examples. If I go to a big chushav Eid, and I need something from him, or whatever, like I said, I need an Eitzer or something, and, okay, so I'm a kabel from him, no problem. And then, since I have this gava thing, then I don't know, how do people make friends? By fressing together, by doing some tava. Let's at least have a particular nivel pair, let's see that you should laugh from it, zwischen mir, ich weiß, that die Davens länger, Shemoneh for me, and you, everything, but Lamaz, we're both human beings, and we all both like the same chazarai, right? Now we're equal. It's very important. That's how people, nobody, it says in the Svurim HaKadoshim, friends that sin together, stay together. No, it doesn't say. I just made up this thing. Sin together, stay together. There's no such a Svurim HaKadoshim, but it says in the famous Torah from the Rabbinim that I like to say about the Yida, right? No, the Rabbinim said it's not as mamish the same Nakidah, but Nafchazan Machsid Shavat. The Rabbinim said that in the whole Torah there's only one friend. Only one Yid in the whole Chumash had a friend. In the Chumash, and then the Tanakh there's more. What? Well, David Melech had friends, yeah, that's true. But in the Chumash, there's only one Yid that had a friend, and it was Yehida. And he had a friend who, we don't know his name, but he was a Kanani from Adilam, Re'ehu Adilami. And what did he do with his friend? That Yab Samas, he went to a Zoyna once, and he had to pay her, and she had a mashkin, and it was mamish bishas. It doesn't fetch in the Puzik that it was bishas. And so what did he do? He called up this friend, he said, look, you know me, you know her. You don't know her, but you know the Gegend, go find her and get me back my mashkin. So the Rabbinim said that a friend is someone that you don't shame sich telling your virus. That's what a friend is. Yeah, okay, no, not that. Why? Because it's very different. Not masculine. This was not aiming for friendship. He's aiming for stopping the virus. It's different. It's a whole different aim. It's not because they're saying you should have a friend, that you should be open so you should stop doing the virus. I'm not saying you should stop doing the virus. I'm saying a friend is someone who doesn't betray you, even like the Goyim said, if a true friend is someone that helps you hide the bodies, right? The illusion of the... Right? That's what he's saying. And according to this is not, I never understood it exactly like this, but according to my Shmis today, it has to do with equality. Aristotle later in his book that we need to study, has a long drusha about friendship, and one of his important maskurim says that you can't actually be a friend with someone too high. Friends have to be equal. And one of his conditions for friendship is equality, and therefore he says that a man and wife are never really friends. Because someone is always higher than the other. Like for him, the man is always higher. You could be friends, and there's ways of equalizing it. Like we said, you have something that I don't have, and I have something you don't. He talks about ways of equalizing it. He says, for example, nobody's a friend of gods. No human being could be a friend of a god. We call it friendship, a philion. It's some kind of friendly relation, but it's not a friend. Not what he mainly calls a friend. So in the same way, since maybe friendship is not the main virtue, I don't know, but I like to be friends with everything. And therefore, I don't like people that you can't be friends with. You can't sin with them. I can't get you to any avaida with me, not even to absolution hara, or something. How do I know what kind of person you are? You're not a person, Bechlal, you're a malach. Okay, say it.
Again, you're still not talking with people. I'll say it, I'm not saying it on the camera. Well, I'll tell you what type of person I mean. I think we're talking with people still. We're still talking about different people.
Could be.
Like that's not the person you're describing is not the ideal person I'm describing.
Could be. I don't know who you're talking about.
Forget about Zuckerberg. Is there a
possibility?
I'm trying to think. Right.
About that.
He said ideal. That is not that guy. The ideal I'm picturing would not have this. All a lot of the things that you're saying does not apply to this ideal that I'm talking about. That's what I'm saying.
I'm trying to think how there would be like who I would talk about. I don't know anyone. Like Shaul HaMelech. That's why I'm not friends with Shaul HaMelech. But I don't know the person. It's not going to help me. I know a lot of people.
I explain to you.
Do you think that like Tamim is the Gebali Tshuva types that are actually like L'Shem Shemayim without any cynical, without anything?
I have a good friend about Shiva.
I'm the person who thinks that everyone else also like needs good as well because that's
But Tamim is the Gebali Tshuva.
No.
I know. I'm asking him. Stop. Do you think that?
One of the things that you're describing is that this guy's very sure of himself. And very sure that he knows that. He's John. Make sure.
By the way, that person I was talking about, I don't think that other person thinks that everyone else is not L'Shem Shemayim. I don't know. I don't think that is necessarily like this. I don't see why. I don't see why that would follow. Like, why would you think? I'm just trying to see that maybe he's the best real tzaddik. Just I'm not his friend. I don't know how to be his friend, and I don't like people that I can't be their friend.
Why is he above you? Why does he think he's above you then?
And it's not that he thinks. Taka is. He doesn't have to think. He actually knows it. I don't think he could not know it.
Even if you're both L'Shem Shemayim and he thinks that you're L'Shem Shemayim?
Oh, if there's such a person.
He makes jokes. Don't worry. He also makes jokes. Not make jokes.
If he makes jokes, then he's talking out of tzaddik.
Okay. He doesn't think he's a tzaddik, this guy. That's the whole point.
So in general...
He's not a Litvak.
Exactly. A Litvish tzaddik thinks that it's tzaddik. That's usually how it is.
Okay, fair.
That's what my definition. If you found someone that's not like that, no problem.
This ideal that I'm talking about is not people who think they're tzaddik. It's not made for parents. It's not people who think they're tzaddik.
What I find very...
No problem. If he doesn't think he's a tzaddik, then he's not a Litvak. A Litvak thinks that he's a tzaddik. Again, that's my idea. Yeah, no problem. I'm getting a definition. Every definition is a true Scotsman.
Okay.
No, I'm saying, I think it's like these certain people, you talk to them and like, you could tell that they're like, they have a keen eye on like the sanctity of their domain when you talk to them. And they're not necessarily,
they're making sure
they're very nice, very soft-spoken, even gentle people. I'm not joking, but like you feel this kind of like, this like a nasty purity that like, I at least feel like it just, I don't sit. I don't just become. It could be.
Sounds like a horror.
Probably maybe not talking about. No, but it's true. You talk to people. It is a horror movie. This guy is still like 2 minutes before Shachar, sitting in a seat, looking at the wall, like waiting for it to start. Don't get too close. Like I love you, and I talk to you nicely afterwards. Please don't get too close to me. Like you know, these are like you feel like you're talking to them and like they're being so nice to you, but they're like begging you with your eyes, please don't defile me.
No, he's not talking. Yeah.
That's exactly what I'm saying.
Okay. Exactly.
That is like a certain brand. I would say it's like stereotypical.
The guy who's very subtly policing the whole conversation.
It's a genus.
The guy is very subtly policing every conversation, make sure it doesn't go out of the bounds.
Even he's so gentle, like and nice, really genuinely nice. Yeah. They're nice people, but like they're just like.
The Bluzer is saying, mainly is saying that this is all nice drushes, but if we don't believe in being for real, we're never going to be for real.
That's
but the shala is if being for real is good.
Exactly, 100%.
That's the shala. I think
the is that this certain the thing you're saying makes the world be that way. It actually makes it.
So I think that again, ideally, that you don't need that. Because maybe there's a tzaddik that's almost a tzaddik. Could be all this kind of stuff, ich weiß nicht. But I feel like we don't need to be that kind of person to be sincere. I think that I'm a very sincere person. That's what I think. And I don't think because...
Why do you say machzitzunas? What happened? What was that sentence?
You understood exactly. Because...
Just say you were serious.
Because I'm getting the whole drusha again saying that and without being angry, without being or very like flach, like you're saying. I don't know if that's really the point. I don't see how being stupid has anything to do with anything. And I think that let's explain why. Like there's a theology here, right? There's a theology here. What's the theology? The theology is that at the end of the day, everyone judges themselves, or tzaddikim, and so on. Everyone judges themselves or is judged by the greatest thing to him. Okay? And the reality is that the biggest Litvish tzaddik, you know my Torah, I told you the story, there was a Litvak that heard the Chassidish Yidden talking about their Rebbe, that he's mamish like a god. And he was very upset, it's like a Avodah. So came a Chassidish Yid and told them that, I have to tell you something. Whatever you think of God, my Rebbe is like bigger than that. So, at the end of the day, there's a real, this is like what we said on Sikkos. You have to remember that there's a real difference between the Chassidim and the Litvaks in terms of which God they worship. In other words, who really judges them. And I don't think there's, like, even the Vilna Gaon himself has worshipped the God that was after the Tzimtzum, as he says beferish many times. And therefore, his God is very limited. And therefore, you could be a tzaddik. You could be a tzaddik. And he knows that he's a tzaddik. Why shouldn't he know? And from this comes this like style. And every Chassidish Yid, even the ones that don't understand much, and also every person that has had some like real things in his life happening to him, there are other ways to become Chassidish. You don't have to be grown up anywhere. And not always it helps. But any real human being, in my opinion, is someone whose God is really infinite. Infinite is a relative term, right? Infinite means more than what I understand. Infinite means more than what any human being and what any malach and what any sphere ever understood. And since that's ultimately who judges you, or what judges you, maybe it's not even a who, or maybe it is a who, ask what's his name, the guy, whatever, Friedman. And actually, what this means is that ultimately there isn't such a thing as being a tzaddik. There's such a thing as being a Baal Shiva. In the sense of, Baal Shiva, not in the sense like you were saying before, that someone that really found the light. The opposite, in the sense of someone who's like, there's many different formulations of like how to even talk about this. Like, do we not believe that there's any good in human beings? Just the opposite. The Chassidish infinite God usually has a lot more compassion than the Litvish one. In some sense, doesn't even need compassion. He's beyond everything, but he accepts everything, but he also demands everything. That's why there's something very weird when I say you can't be a tzaddik, as if you can't be yotzei. It's not true. It's not like very different from how a Baal Mussar would say you can't be yotzei because the demand, the Baal Mussar have like a word for this, like the tvia, how do they call it? There's always like an infinite demand to them, like he could never be yotzei because there's like takas and they have these wishes. Even Yaakov Avinu wasn't a tzaddik enough, whatever. Not because of that. Almost the opposite of that. Because nothing really exists, because nobody really knows. There's no real concept. And relative to what really judges you, to what's really your God. And what this causes is a certain freedom.
So coming from like a certain, there is an absurdity in that difference. And you kind of laugh when it's that absurd.
Yeah, there's something, you could laugh, you could also cry about it, it doesn't matter. These are the questions like how to formulate this. Does it make you laugh? Does it make you cry? Does it make you yira? Things like it says in Perek Beis of Perek Gimel. But in any case, it's one thing it does. It makes you not be able to be a tzaddik. There's no such thing as a tzaddik. Like human life is not complete. There's maybe no life either, but for sure not human life. But really no life. So it's not like Nebuch were humans. Like if it would be a malach, it wouldn't help either. So I think that this really causes an inability to like ever say like, here I've created God's house. Like even when Shlomo Melech said that, he said, no, there's no God. God doesn't have a house, but I created his house. Remember the drusha that Shlomo Melech gave when he made the Beis Hamikdash? And the Litvak is someone that says the second part of the drusha without the first part. That's what I mean that he says, that he means L'shem Shemayim. Right? We're making a yeshiva. Yeshiva is a mishkan, l'shechina. And very nice. I have news for you. The Shekhinah doesn't fit into your yeshiva. It doesn't even fit into all the worlds together. And Shemaim v'Shema Shemaim Leichal Kelicha Afke Abayis Hazeh Shabanisi L'Shemcha. Thank you very much. Yeah, I made it for you, but you don't fit in. So how? Okay, that's for God to figure out. Somehow He can do both because He's even greater than being infinite and all of that. But this understanding, I think, is lacking from every Litvak. I've never met a Litvak that understood this yet, even the ones that claim to understand it, or the ones that do would be converted, basically. Christians call this grace, right? This understanding, something related to what Augustine calls grace, and this is what really lies behind this. This is like the highest way of saying it, I think. And because of this, this is the question, I don't want this absolute sincerity, which is it becomes also a style. There's also a style in it, just like the opposite is just a style. The style is just cynical and making lithonis of everything. And there's this style of we're building God's house. Is something that seems to me wrong. It shows you that you don't really understand. I'll tell you a Litvish way of example of saying this, but it's not correct. So Rav Soloveitchik, the Boston Eruv, said, I saw a shmiz from him that he had a shir for Balabatim, Sechtes Bruches, I think. Something. There was a shir for Balabatim. I don't remember where. There was a shir. And one day they finished the Peirik, or maybe they even a Masechta, I don't remember, and he made a siyum. And he gave a drusha by the siyum. And he said, this is the first time he made a siyum in his life. Why? Because let's be real, we don't ever finish a Masechta. If you're a lam, there's no such thing as finished a Masechta. Shigi finished a Masechta. Balabatim, they think they finished a Masechta. For the Balabatim, he made a siyum, and he gave them a nice drusha about how great the Torah is and everything. But he never made a siyum. Of course, you could make this in the wrong way, you can never be yotzei. You should make a siyum because you should be happy. It's the opposite. The Chassidim say you should make a siyum because they never thought that they're going to finish. You understand? That's why they make a lot of siyumim. You know this story, the Beit Ger Rebbe met Rebbe Simcha in the 9 days, and the Ger Rebbe Srol, he wasn't the Ger Rebbe then, and they were eating flesh in the shtibel, and Rebbe Simcha said, "What's going on?" He said, "Don't even make a siyum." So I said, "When's the siyum off?" I got to make verheeren. So Besrol said, "Off till him." So Rebbe Simcha said, "Yeah, but your siyum can fly, can milchiks can nicht essen." But why did the Chassidim make a siyum? The Chassidim said that siyum, samach mem alef lamed, is Rishnai v'siyum mesechta ein las, as weißt, yeah? The Trachas says you shouldn't make a siyum. Why not? Because the Trachas says, look, you can't never do anything. So therefore you never make a siyum. Chassidim say, of course you can't do anything. That's why we make a siyum. Master, Baruch Hashem, we managed to read through a whole Masechta, ja, verstanden, nicht verstanden, and so on. That's the chilik, that's the yisod. That's why Chassidim are the people that don't say they mean L'Shem Shamayim, because they understand a little better what the Shamayim is. And that's why they're not serious people. It's true, you have to be a little more serious to do anything in life. That's why the Klippas of Chassidus is just not be a serious person and sit in the table all day. But the argument is that the correct version of that is to build a big Beis HaMikdash, a Bayis HaGudel, it says something, a big Beis HaMikdash. Because if God doesn't fit in, he might as well be the biggest. But not because the biggest he does fit in. It's just like a sheep. If it's too big, already said Beis HaMikdash. And in that one, God doesn't fit in the Chab. And then he does fit in because there's Unevish Falriach and Mokum Shatamoitzik Dlistak Dishbach Shamat Moitzah Besanisai. And God, actually, unlike what Aristotle said, this is what Rebbe Yechanan said, God doesn't have a problem pretending to be equal with you. Of course, he's just pretending, but we don't care. I have a cloud that if someone pretends to be nice to me, I accept it. Even though I know that it's not true. But that's the Nekeda. I don't know. Anyways, that's the ideal reason of why I wouldn't even want that. Even if the person is perfect and he's so perfect, he knows how to not pretend to lord over you. So it's even more perfect. Why would I want someone like that? But it's true that when we talk to the Chassidim, we have to talk more about sincerity. Somehow, I have that horseshoe theory that if we push so much in this direction, maybe it will lead all the way to sincerity where it's needed. I don't know if the horseshoe theory works for the theory of extremes in Midas. Does it work?
That's an interesting question.
Like, my ideal would be something like, let's push this all the way. No human being ever, like there was no tzaddik ever, okay? I wrote a medrash, I want to tell you a medrash from Parshas Lech Lecho. I found a secret medrash. And it said like this, that is machloikas, Yesh Amrim, Avram Avinu was 3 years old when he was Ikres Boira, Yesh Amrim was 13, Yesh Amrim was 48, Yesh Amrim was 75. And then it says, Yesh Amrim she'adayin lehikra Avram Avinu es Boira. That's what it said in a different medrash. Verstehst? Because what's the pshat? Everyone was speaking according to what they understand from God. Some guy is God, you can understand when you're 3 years old. Like Rebbe Chana Vassama, like, obviously there's a God. Okay. Ben Shole Shekra Avram Vines Boira. It's master, it's not a bad svura. It's some basic intuition. 3-year-old kids have it. And Baya. Ben Sholesh. Then there was someone that went a little past that and it was like, there's the big rest of God. They said you can't. There's a chves. And what's the other b'shittas? I don't remember. 13, let's say. And the other guy said, I think you have to be at least 48 to understand God. The Rambam, I think, brings that. 40? That number. Like, be real. You have to learn. The Rambam has a list of things you have to learn before you understand God. It takes 50 years. What?
The Rambam is masig. The right is masig. He says that you can be.
It brings a different medrash.
Shit, you can be 3.
It's a shit. And the real people, they say that nobody was ever. That's what it says in the Gemara, that Moshe Rabbeinu was a bigger Novi than Yeshaya Novi, because Moshe Rabbeinu said, Leirani Adam V'chai, and Yeshaya Novi said, Ve'eres Hashem. Right? The Gemara in somewhere. Understand? So that's the point. That's why I heard from a big tzaddik, what's Mashiach going to do when he comes? He's going to burn the whole Sfurim Shank.
Who's that big tzaddik?
And a different tzaddik said, no, he's not going to burn it. I already told you this? The Rambam said. Because it's a joke. Megillas Esther is my version of the Torah. Like, a bunch of Shakirim got together, somehow God was there, wasn't there? Yeah, Matan Torah. You heard this Drisham Piram. No, but this person, then there's different tzaddik, there was his neighbor, he said, no. Mashiach will come, everyone will run to this Sfurim Shank, and they'll see that all the pages are white. Nice. Just because he wanted less violence, like he burned it. All the pages are going to turn white. So that's why we can't say that we mean Hashem Shemayim. It's true that there's a big clipper. That's why the Mushal says in the Maral, based on this, Chassidim say like that Esav was a bigger kibbutz av than Yaakov. Well, Esav was a very serious person. Like, you know the Chaim Sofer, right? You know the Chaim Sofer. That Esav said, Yokim Uvi. He spoke to his father in third person. Mm-hmm. But Yaakov said, Kim. There's Chaim Sofer, Agoy is uk tate. And the Chaim that's Taka the Minig, and wherever he lived, and Adayim is the Minig by most Yiddims, is to speak their father in first person, even people that like, they never say the Rebbe. He says, Zach Kado Choyma, if the Rebbe is to yeah. But it's also a chitzpah that we say, Burchata, then we right away skip. Asher. That says the Rashba, famously. But the Purim Dachzayfa said that Esav was Yokim Avi. He was like very proper, and he kept distance, and he always put on the different bekatcha to serve the tata, then to get to cook and so on. And Yaakov obviously didn't, and it was informal, and that's why Esav has a chis, certain chis, very serious, very real, like not real, serious, like you're sincere, taking things seriously. The Maral says this is because, like this. The Maral says, like, look Tazai. That why? Because Esav is a gifni. That's his theory, that Esav is chomer and gif, and Yaakov is neshama. Now, why do you have to mechaved your father? What did your father give you? Your seichel? Hamaka. Says in the Gemara, Avedes Uva, Avedes Rabbi. This is the biggest Gemara that Olam Haba. It's a mamash Meferish Gemara, like the Shitzer Rambam. Everyone says the Rambam made up something. But it's a Meferish Gemara. Rabbi Mevei L'chai Elam Abuva, Avif Mevei L'chai Elam Azeh. The Rambam said that Olam Haba means understanding. Said in Hilchos Tshuva. Olam Haba is Asugas Hashem. Not like other people say Olam Haba is fressing Lakshan when after you die, when you get reborn. Like the Ramban says. Chas Shalom is nicht das, but we can mind it as it is. But the Rambam said that Olam Haba means understanding, and that's exactly. Look, in the same analogy, just like your father brought you to Chayil Mazeh, your Rebbe brings you to Chayil Habu, gives birth to you intellectually, spiritually. In any case, so the Tat is Kodim. So it comes out, Kim Tohos, that Kibbutz Av is inside a gif. So Isav, who's a bigger gif Yid, Yid, Goy, whatever you want to call him, was more Mechav his father than Yaakov. That's why Yid are Mechitzofim. Right? Why Yid are Mechitzofim?
Other fathers?
To their own father, because a Yid...
But the Yid is also Mechitzot to other fathers.
Of course, others the Chavamen. Because a Yid, the Chassidish Yid, that's what I'm saying. Chassidim are Mechitzofim. Why the Chassidim Mechitzofim? Because like you gave birth to me. Okay, thank you very much for giving me my body. Well, no problem. What do I care about my body? Supposedly. Ich care ganz gut. But Lamazal. But Mitzvah his neshama is not you don't get your neshama from your father. The whole Tanya about this, right? You don't really get any neshama from your father. Your neshama you get from God or from your Rebbe. And the same reason, that's what Yaakov said to Rivka, to Rochel, Uchavani Baramus, right? Because Lovang Rabbi Ganav, he did everything according to the minig, which is to be a Ganav and a Shakran. But Yaakov said, look, you have to understand something. It's very important, this Uchavani Baramus, because Yaakov was the one that understood this Torah that I'm saying. He was the one that made it by Salihim, right? And Yaakov said, I know, you think, Nabach, Ruchel, niemand that tzaddik darf na grude mechel. How do you say grude mechel of English?
A straight arrow.
Straight what?
Arrow.
Arrow? Yeah. A mechel is an arrow?
That's a straight arrow.
Okay. You think that a tzaddik is a grude mechel. Never, your father is a bluff. Everything. He says one thing and he means 7 different things. And what I can live, it says ishtam, ish piveli b'shovim. So I have news for you. That's true, that I know how to be Tumim. But also, Uchavani Baramus, I know how to be a Ramah. Why do I know how to be a Ramah? Because this whole thing of you have to make your promises, it's only one levish, it's only one thing. It's one thing that humans can do, one thing that God does. But I also understand that God is much beyond this. So yeah, Lovon he's doing this just because he's a bluffer. But Yaakov, he never, you have to fulfill your own promises, Yaakov. He made an Eder and he fulfilled it and everything. But you can't take it too seriously. Because it says, right? If you take it too seriously, then you're Megashim. Then you have a little small God. So since Yaakov never takes anything, he even promised him Ruchel, he knows that what's the difference between Ruchel and Lion? In the eyes of God, what's the big difference? Right? What's the difference between Akidim, Ridim, it's all Oidim, one Oidim, Akidim. God, it's all the same. So he can play with, he's very, very loose, very happy to play when it's needed. That's what Yalusha told me a chat from, I forgot which Rebbe, that said, I forgot who that sounds true, she said that Yaakov was Ishtam. Ishtam means, is like Ishnami, he's the boss on the Tmimis, nicht das Atom. Again, Ish, Uden ala Tmimis. A gewisses Atom, doch gewiss nicht das Atom. So of course, Mitzvah Tmimis is a große Middah. It's very big Indian. If you're just a bluffer because, it's the opposite. It's because so much truth, because you have such a good grasp on the truth that you don't get stuck in anything. Very important. That's my drusha about Yaakov Avinu. That's how he was able to be Yochav Baramus. It says Narizal that Luvan, this Baramus, Ara and Saf, whatever. Okay, anyways. It's very important to fulfill your promises. But it's this is all a weird Chassidish limit. That's also why, why it says that Rav Gan v'Yisruel, it says in the Gemara, in a certain context, halacha. Because Ayid knows, this is the answer, man's, whatever. It's all the Irish, this anyways. It says in Rashi, Shachapirim Torah already.
In Rashi?
Someone would say it. Yeah, no, that someone would say it. Something I don't remember. Somewhere it says that. No, Kaluretz like this Burchi. Well, so the Reibish, nein, ich kenne ja. In any case, but there's some truth to that point. And that's why the clip of being a Yid, which is being a Chussid in our understanding, is to be a Ganev. All the Goyim know that Eden don't fulfill their promises. You know that one of like big anti-Semitic libels against the Eden is that they say Kol Nidre every year, and therefore you can't rely on anything they say. You know, just like us, nowadays we have this thing, people have this thing with Muslims, or certain versions of Muslims that have a principle of taqiyya, where they're allowed to lie. So this was an ancient anti-Jewish thing, same thing. You didn't have a thing, they once a year they go in the shul, and they say, all the promises we're going to make here this year are null and void. Therefore, whenever you do business with Eid, remember that he said, Kol Nidre Smedrash. And
that's
there was a
whole... Maybe the Goyim were against it.
Some people were against it because, I don't know if the Goyim...
No, maybe, I think it is Sag or one...
That's true, but I don't think it's because of that. Later, there were people against it because of this. Yeah. But it's true. It's true. It doesn't make it not true. You just need to know most of the time to be Makayim your neder, which I tell you. So we're learning Hilchos Shemona Perukim. Perek Daled.
I think there's also something like Tagid Emes the Misha Amle, like if there's someone who you know is, exploits all the area, you should go to the gray area.
They novel Tispato, that's, but why? Why wouldn't a Litvak be masking to this heter?
They think that the truth that they live in is the highest one available.
You know, there was a reform roof that was sent to the concentration camp, and on his way out, he sent a check to the Shtut because he owed them taxes. Echte Jacke. Kids say, maybe he was right, that guy. Ich weiß nicht. There's a medicine MS. You owe tax, you have to pay tax. Either guy, won't want to do the other, right? Everybody should learn. Nobody should know this drusha. All the anti-Semites are going to be very happy with my drusha.
Yeah, you have to be a little bit more tone aware if you want to put this online.
The kids say,
I mean, there is.
They're going to
This is a
discover.
way to get very famous these days. You mentioned the word goy in Drusha, and you just, Nick Fuentes is.
No. Those guys, man after man. Kitzer Ramaz is. We have to still be honest, and them say we shouldn't be honest. I think that this Uchav Beramuris thing has to do with, you know that there's not a mid of emes in the Rambam's list of midas? I'm looking now. It's a whole big drusha, this whole shmis. We have to get to it one day. But one of the ideas, and this idea would be that the truth it's a big thing. Truth is not trivial. There's no trivial truths, right? Remember? You have to deserve it. Why would someone get the truth for free? Just because I'm a tzaddik, I have to say the truth? Truth has to be earned. Since there's a very, very difficult understanding of what truth means. So someone that doesn't want the truth, he gets exactly what he wants. Or something like that. Okay. Kitzer Amasa. What we have to learn now is that there's a long list. We're already speaking for an hour, so we don't have to learn anything. We don't have to say that we're learning something. What we have to learn now is that there's a long list in the Shemona Perukim Perek Daled. There was already a list also in Perek Beis. There's another 2 lists in Hilchos Dayas Perek Aleph, and another list in Hilchos Dayas Perek Beis of the good midas. And theoretically, each one of these should be divided in 3, because it should have one extreme and the other extreme and the middle. Also, it's missing in many of them. One of these parts. And it's very important also. The Rambam didn't seem to think that it's very important. This is part of my big problem with the Rambam these days, that he didn't really explain to us what he thinks. Because now that he tells you this list of good middas and that the center is the correct one, and he should have like written a whole book, explain each middah, which is what Aristotle did more or less. And Rambam just didn't do it. We discussed last week that maybe Mishnah Torah is in some sense this as the way he understands mitzvahs. Like we'll see soon. Then we already discussed a little bit about the Yiras Chetla Mishal. That mitzvahs are really the, at least chinuch, at least the education of these middas. But really what being a good person consists of is having all the correct middas. But it does still seem to be important to have these lists of correct middas. So I can give you like a bunch of things that we have to try to find out about this list. And this is our project for the next year. After we already had the first project, which was finding out what a middah is, I think we already found out. Now we have to go through the list of middas. The Rambam does a few general things about this, but doesn't really go through the list. So one thing to do is just find out each middah that he talks about what it is and how to do it. Like Bala Musa said, like take a month, a year for each. And work on it. That's one thing. Second thing is, that would be a very specific thing to do and a very important thing to do. For example, we talked about friendship, we should talk more about friendship, we talked about courage, we should talk more about courage, we talked about what do we say, temperance, we should talk more about it, and more middas. Second thing is to figure out, which we did a tiny bit, but not really, to figure out what these lists work with, like what are they based on, like how do we divide them, what is the point of making these lists, what are the other ways of dividing them, how do these relate to some sense of higher levels of what middas are, which would be a whole different discussion. How does this relate to other lists that we have, which are like mitzvahs, which seems to relate to this, as the Rambam will explain at the end of the chapter. That's another whole thing. So those are the two main things. What else is there? We will be working on these two things. One is each middah, what it is and how to get to the middle of it, the correct version of it. The other one is, second thing is more general thing, to figure out what these lists are, basis of them. There's many lists to compare. If I just gave you 2 sources or 4 in the Rambam to compare, you could compare to many other people that wrote books with lists of middas and work through them, try to understand, especially the people that are the Rambam sources, right? But also other people that correspond to this, later and earlier and so on. It's interesting that nobody nowadays writes books with these lists. Does anyone?
Nobody know what?
Is there any like good book that like has like 10 best middas you should get to yourself? The 10 best middas. You can't make a list more than 10, that would be too much. 12 ideas for a good life. What's the guy's name? Book's name? Doesn't that middas? What's Peterson's book called? 12 something for a good life, no?
12 rules for life.
12 rules? Are they middas?
I don't know.
What are the 12 rules?
Be a crab or something.
What?
Be a crab.
No. No, that is not the list. I think some of them aren't kind of middas. I think so. They're formulated as rules, not as middas, but I think some of them are middas. What? What? Because it didn't say that they're middas? Okay, so that would be one thing. The Rambam gets into arguments. The Rambam, for example, he gets into arguments with people who have the wrong understanding of specific middas, and he says that they're on the extreme and so on. That's the second thing. And the third thing, so those, I want to say 3 things. First thing is each one of the list, which is the understanding of what's the correct one. Second thing is something about the structure of these lists. How would they be structured? Why are they structured in a certain way? What are the alternatives to the structures? Things like that. And the third important thing, for the Rambam at least, and this is something very particular to the Rambam, I think, and we have to get to it and understand that the Rambam thought or understood that this idea of the difference between the ideal middah and the middah that we should educate ourselves toward for reasons of sickness, for reasons of his theory of needing to go to the other extreme sometimes in order to be healed, seems to have been a very important principle for the Rambam. Seems to be less important in his sources. The Rambam has expanded this principle very much. At least that's my understanding the second. And he seems to include a ton into this whole discussion that you want to know about a chochem and a chassid has to do with this. and all of that. So those are 3 plans. So next 3 months, you know what to do. And if you want sources, if anyone is interested in self-study, they could figure out what to study also. Or they could ask me, or they could just come to the class and we'll talk about being a Litvak. Okay.